I'm Queen Sylvie of the multiple award-winning The Queen Sylvie Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Sylvie or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah.
Are you tired of driving around a dirty car? Say hello to the ultimate solution for your car. Quick Auto Detail, home, work, or wherever. Their mobile car spa will clean and shine your car anytime and anywhere. Their products are gentle on your car's paint, and they use only the highest quality materials. Book your appointment now.
Hey kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy it. Remember, lots of adults and kids, too, paid admission to enjoy the show. We must insist on absolute quiet.
America on the March. President Trump announced this month that the Gulf of Mexico is going to become the Gulf of America. Can Jimmy have some freedom fries with that? Well then, how about a big, beautiful canal instead?
And we're taking it back.
But if tropical isn't your thing, how about the land of ice and snow? Looks like Christmas is in January this year. Greenland, or should we say America Land? So how will our fearless leader get us these wonderful lands and properties? Will there be war? Will people die? How much will it cost? Is using the American military to take over foreign lands really fine with everyone, you ask?
I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two.
Of course it is. Don't be a commie. We're making America even greater again. And whatever isn't America, we will make America. Here's looking at you, Canada.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so very, very much for dropping by and spending another hump day with me on Tim's Tidbits. I certainly do appreciate it. Hope so far your week is going well. And let me give some quick shout outs before we get to starting on the show. To those who listened to last week's show in the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Mexico, and Germany. Also Poland, Africa, Ireland, France, and Australia. Thank all of you for tuning on in. It is greatly appreciated. Anyhow, as I said, I hope your week is going well so far. There's all kinds of things going on here in good old US of A. And even outside of the US of A. We'll see how the ceasefire goes over in the Gaza Strip. Still very sensitive subject, and some of the things that are happening during the transition to the of the new administration, rather, and we'll get into that. And part of that transition into the new administration is I'm not sure if they want governmental agencies not to celebrate or make a fuss out of any type of Black History Month, Pride Month, anything like this. In fact, there was a memo that came out, and this is out of the Defense Intelligence Agency. They ordered a pause on all activities and events related to Martin Luther King Day, Black History Month, Juneteenth, LGBTQ Pride Month, Holocaust Remembrance Day, or any other special observance to comply with President Trump's executive order. With the, get rid of all this DEI stuff. Yeah, so in recognition of that, I decided that I'll comply also, and let's have a quick celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Day.
Hello, everybody. Hey, we know it is Black History Month. When you hear somebody say, "Hey, Michelle," from our earliest days, Black history has been American history. We're the slaves who carried the stone to build this White House, the soldiers who fought for our nation's independence. African American culture has profoundly shaped American culture in music, in art, literature, in sports.
Through dance, they have told the stories of who we were, who we are, and who we can be.
Still dancing at 106.
And during Black History Month, that's really what we celebrate. We celebrate the people who have shaped our heritage. We remember those who struggled for our rights and our freedoms, and we reflect on how far we've come and how much farther we have to go.
1 month a year is not sufficient to celebrate the power of a movement. That's something that we have to do, each and every one of us, every day, living up to their example, then handing it on to our children and our children's children.
And a very, very, very celebrated Black History Month to everybody out there, even though the new administration somehow wants to sweep all that kind of history under the carpet. Out of the textbooks, out of the schools, and out of the calendar. Interesting. Anyhow, speaking of recent incidents, everybody knows about the D.C. airplane incident where the helicopter, the Army helicopter, was obviously above the altitude it was supposed to fly and had a collision with a passenger jet. And it seems that, and this is from a few days ago, but our president had the answer, and the answer is it was probably because of the diversity, equality, and inclusion, equity and inclusion laws that are now. They're hiring substandard people, or at least that's his explanation of what happened in that incident.
Last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers and others, by the way. Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. You have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel. I'll have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they want them, they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so.
Mr. President, you have today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense. okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Ooh. Wow. So, yeah, he just figures that since something like that happened, it had to be done by somebody stupid or a handicapped individual or who knows what he was alluding to. It's going to be an amazing trip, folks. It's going to be definitely an amazing trip of the influence that some of the this particular administration has on the United States, as well as what they may have on outside of the United States. Speaking of that, I did say at the top of the show, hopefully the ceasefire in Palestine will last, and that may be over. But Trump made another suggestion. How about maybe just those Palestinians leave Gaza and let Egypt and Israel run the place? Go find someplace else to live.
Mr. President, will you continue to press for this idea that Jordan and Egypt take Palestinians from Gaza?
Yeah, I would like to see Jordan. I'd like to see Egypt take some. Look, the Gaza thing has not worked. It's never worked. And I feel very differently about Gaza than a lot of people. I think they should get a good, fresh, beautiful piece of land, and we get some people to put up the money to build it and make it nice and make it habitable and enjoyable and make it a home.
They don't want to leave, though. Palestinians say they don't want to leave.
I don't know how they could want to stay. It's a demolition site. It's a pure demolition site. If we could find the right piece of land or numerous pieces of land and build them some really nice places with plenty of money in the area, that's for sure, I think that would be a lot better than going back to Gaza, which has had just decades and decades of death.
Where would those pieces of land be?
Well, they could be in Jordan, and they could be in Egypt, and they could be in other places. You could have more than two, more than one, but you could have more than two, and you'd have people living in a place that could be very beautiful and safe and nice. Gaza's been a disaster for decades.
Would the U.S. pay for that?
I don't think the UN would pay, but I think there's plenty of people that would in the area. They have a lot of money. They certainly have a lot of money. Some of the countries over there, they'd like to see it. I know that Saudi Arabia wants to see peace. I can see that. And many of the countries there, as far as I'm concerned, they all want peace. I think, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think Iran would like to see peace too. They've had enough. Don't you think they've had enough?
But the leaders of Egypt and Jordan have said bluntly they have no interest in doing this.
Well, they may have said that, but a lot of people said things to me. They said they wouldn't take anybody back in Venezuela, and right now they're flying them right back into Venezuela. And a lot of people, and they're doing the right thing in Venezuela. The Panama Canal is an active discussion right now. They said things about that, and virtually everything that's been said has been incorrectly stated based on the result.
Doesn't that amount to forcibly displacing? Wouldn't that amount to forcibly displacing those people from Gaza?
I don't think so. I think if they had the opportunity, they'd love it. If they had an alternative to Gaza, they have no alternative right now. I mean, they're there because they have no alternative. What do they have? It is a big pile of rubble right now.
A big pile of rubble. What a jack. Yeah, so, move out, go to Israel or Jordan, and both of them are saying, well, we don't really want that. Well, Colombia said they didn't want their people back, and I made it happen, so. Yeah, I don't know how he's going to exercise influence in that regard to get the Palestinians out of Gaza and make other countries put up affordable housing for them. But we're not going to give them a dime to do it. Be interesting. Anyhow, yeah, interesting. Hey, speaking of interesting, remember last week we talked a little bit about Trump was at that Los Angeles Unified Fire District meeting, and he was talking about how there's all kinds of water in California, and Northern California's hogging it all, this and that. And we actually, disqualified their ability to do that. But he went ahead and did it anyhow. We discussed that, and he had ordered 5.2 billion gallons released from the dams up north to supply water to the south. And it just didn't turn out as hoped, I guess. I think we predicted that on last week's show.
It's times like this, when winter storms are causing the rivers that feed into the California Delta to run high, that water managers hope we can capture and store as much water as possible for the dry summer months. And that's why so many people are scratching their heads over what President Trump just did. On Friday, President Trump posted an announcement showing a photo of the, quote, beautiful water flow that I just opened in California, end quote. By executive order, he directed the Army Corps of Engineers to open the floodgates at 2 dams in reservoirs in Tulare County. In a statement from Washington, D.C., the Corps said, quote, consistent with the executive order, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is releasing water from Terminus Dam at Lake Cahuilla and Schaefer Dam at Lake Success to ensure California has water available to respond to the wildfires, end quote. But there are a few problems with that.
And apparently, Mr. Trump felt that that was going to help Southern California. Well, number one, those rivers aren't connected to Southern California. That water will not get to Southern California. And number two, that's water that the Corps was holding for farmers to irrigate with next summer. Releasing it now when it's raining doesn't do anybody good, except it creates the very real risk of potential flooding.
Barry Nelson has his own reasons for being angry about this. He is policy representative for the Golden State Salmon Association, which for the last 2 years has not been able to fish because of the shockingly low numbers of Chinook salmon still remaining in the wild.
California salmon are right now at one of the most disastrous points they've been at certainly in human history. We've now gone to a point where many of our most important salmon runs are on the brink of extinction.
The fishermen say the salmon need larger flows in rivers during dry months to survive, and though they're frequently competing with Central Valley agriculture for water, this time even the farmers aren't happy.
The agricultural community looks at that and says, what is going on here? That is water that was being held in storage for farmers to grow stuff next summer. Releasing water now only does one thing. It puts people at risk from flooding.
President Trump understood that when he had those dams open?
No.
Nelson is concerned that this waste of billions of gallons of water will be an indication of the kind of resource management they can expect for the next 4 years.
California has the most complex plumbing system on the planet. It's not a simple thing to operate, and if you think it's simple and order people to make what look like simple decisions to you, you wind up making really dumb decisions. What's interesting here is that this experience with this just dumb release of water that didn't benefit anybody and threatened public safety shows that expertise actually matters when you're running big, complicated systems. We'll see if anyone in Washington, D.C. is listening to that lesson.
Nelson says he believes that people within the Army Corps of Engineers must know that releasing water now is pointless. But he thinks as a branch of the U.S. military, they were simply following orders from their commander-in-chief.
That was stupid. So yeah, about 5 billion gallons worth of water just basically wasted. Yeah, like I said, we talked about that last week. We showed how that system works, showed the different canals and how they split off. And so dumb. Anyhow, as long as you just carry through with the stupid suggestion that you made. Anyhow, speaking of stupid going on in Washington, everybody knows about DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency, and how Elon and his posse are in on that. But do you really know what DOGE is?
Elon Musk and I don't really get along. He was talking about me. But believe it or not, we may actually agree on something. Let me explain. The new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short, claims it will cut $2 trillion worth of what it thinks is waste and fraud in the government budget. Is there waste and fraud? Could the government be more efficient and work better? Musk and DOGE may have a point. But what's often considered waste and fraud depends on whether one is looking downward or upward. And the billionaire Doges look only downward. In fact, the biggest waste and fraud is found at the highest rungs. Musk, of course, won't recommend eliminating tax loopholes, which resulted in the government losing out on at least $1.8 trillion worth of tax revenue in 2023 alone. That's because most tax loopholes, like the carried interest loophole that reduces taxes for private equity and hedge fund managers, disproportionately benefit the rich. I also doubt Musk will recommend cutting the billions in government contracts and subsidies his corporations receive. Or our bloated military budget that's bigger than the next 9 countries' military budgets combined. Half of that goes to private defense contractors like Musk's own SpaceX and Starlink. Many federal contractors, like Boeing and Raytheon, have histories of price gouging, largely because they face little or no competition. And Musk, of course, won't recommend that Republicans halt their plans to extend Trump's tax cuts, which will add at least $5 trillion to the deficit and predominantly benefit billionaires like him. That's more than twice the amount DOGE wants to cut in, quote, wasteful government spending, if you're keeping track. Instead, Musk wants to cut the government agencies that protect you by enforcing antitrust laws, labor laws, workplace safety laws, environmental protections, and guardrails against financial fraud. And because there's no other place to find anything close to the $2 trillion he's promising to cut from the federal budget, I expect Musk and DOGE will turn to cutting Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, which comprise roughly 45% of the entire federal budget. Now, Elon and Doge won't listen to a miniature wanker like me, but I want to arm you with the truth. As Doge takes shape, you're going to hear a lot about how we can't afford to fund government agencies or programs that help millions of people. That's rubbish. As I just pointed out, there are ways to save the government $2 trillion without cutting critical programs that most Americans rely on. If we instead cut the fat that Musk and his fellow billionaires rely on. The fundamental issue that Musk and Doge are failing to address isn't the size of the government or how efficient it is, but who our government is for. Should it work mainly for big corporations and billionaires, or for the rest of us?
Us. Yeah, it should be working for us. It's interesting, yeah, that you've got these billionaires on Doge, you know, and yeah, do you think they're really looking into anything that's going to, you know, put their income in any type of jeopardy of, you know, not gaining additional wealth? Come on now. And in fact, you know, one of my favorites there, I like Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Senator Warren had a little bit something to say, yeah, about Elon Musk and his cronies coming in and exercising their control. Interestingly enough, trying to grab, you know, where these different finances going, this and that, and check out what Elizabeth has to say.
I just want to be clear about what's going on here. The system that makes sure that your granddad gets his Social Security check, the system that makes sure that your mom's doctor gets Medicare payment to cover her medical appointment, and the system that makes sure that you get the tax refund that you're owed has been taken over by Elon Musk. And every organization from your state government that uses federal money on that bridge project to the local Head Start that takes care of little kids while their mommies and daddies go to work is now at the mercy of Elon Musk. Elon just grabbed the controls of our whole payment system, demanding the power to turn it on for his friends or turn it off for anyone he doesn't like. Now, there's a second problem here. It's not just payments from the federal government that are now in Elon's control. Elon and his handful of friends now have full access to your personal and financial information that's in the system. Your payment history, your social security number, your bank account numbers. Elon now has the power to suck out all of that information for his own use. And there is a third problem. In order for this handful of programmers to gain access to our $6 trillion payment system, we don't know what safeguards were pulled down. Are the gates wide open now for hackers from China, from North Korea, from Iran, from Russia? Heck, who knows what black hat hackers all around the world are finding out about each one of us and copying that information for their own criminal uses. Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies are determined to take over this government to make it work better for themselves and worse for everyone else. And this is just the start. As we gear up for the tax fight, it will become even clearer that Trump will open the doors for his billionaires and giant corporations to find more ways to loot the government at your expense. Meanwhile, everyone else pays more for groceries, more for housing, more for prescription drugs, and more for health care. When unelected billionaires start ransacking our government offices, this is not business as usual. Nope, nothing is normal. We are living a nightmare created by Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and we need to wake up. We need to use every tool we have to fight back.
Amen, Elizabeth. Yeah, it's getting ridiculous. The power that's been laterally handed over from Trump to Elon so that he could run the Department of Government Efficiency better, so to speak. But apparently, when he's in there trying to dig into our personal information, as Elizabeth pointed out, Representative Warren, or Senator Warren, rather, they've got everything they need about you, your bank account information, your social security number, everything, and who knows what's going on, and what their intent with that information, and why do they even need to know it? What does that have to do with government efficiency? You getting your social security and or disability and or whatever is connected even now. They took some of these other organizations, and as Elon said, he's going to put it through the wood chipper. So, yeah. But in that regards, and one government official, our top from the Treasury Department, he resigned his position, feeling that, this is not right, and, I'm not going to be, a part of all this that's going on right now, especially with the invasion into your personal information.
We're still in the early hours of understanding what this means, but I think this may end up being a very big deal. Today, the Post broke news that the highest-ranking career official at Treasury, a man named David Liebrick, is leaving the U.S. government, quote, after a clash with allies of billionaire Elon Musk over access to sensitive payment systems. So Elon Musk and his team of people have reportedly been asking Treasury for access to the payment systems that the government uses to pay its bills, to pay out trillions of dollars a year across the federal government, also payments to businesses and individual households. So if you're a federal worker, before your paycheck hits your bank account, it goes through this system. Same thing if you get a Social Security check or a Medicare benefit. Payments to government contractors, tax refunds, grant recipients. You get the idea. This is basically the government's checkbook at the Treasury Department, how they pay for everything. It's so sensitive that only a few career officials actually have access to use this system. But according to the Post today, Elon Musk and his team have demanded access to it as well, which led to a dispute with a very high-ranking career official at Treasury who's now quit over this dispute, who's now resigned. The Post says it is unclear what exactly Elon Musk's team wanted to do, why they wanted access to this incredibly sensitive system. One former Treasury Department official tells the Post, quote, "This payment system has never been used in a way to execute a partisan agenda. You have to really put bad intentions in place for that to be the case." I do not know enough about what this payment system does or how it works to understand the implication of it potentially being misused. But I will tell you, I have been watching enough of these red flags in the last 11 days to recognize that this is a very big one. And if the people in control of this very sensitive, very highly restricted system now do have bad intentions for what they're going to do with it, what does that mean? What is the scope of what they could do? Joining us now is Washington Post senior White House reporter Isaac Arnstorff, who's one of the reporters who broke this story. He's also the author of Finish What We Started, The MAGA Movement's Ground War to End Democracy. Mr. Arnstorff, thanks very much for being here. I know it's a really, really busy night. Let me start by asking you what kind of information, what kind of system this is, this payment system.
Well, what you said is exactly right, Rachel. This is the checkbook. This is how the government's bills get paid. And David Liebrick, as the most senior official in the Treasury Department, who was the acting Treasury Secretary until Trump's nominee was confirmed, is the expert at managing it, including managing the debt ceiling, which, as we know, is coming up really, really soon with the spending limit in danger of being breached. That is all, he's the expert on that. That's his expertise. All the payments to this is how the government pays its bills. And it's never been anything that has any political role. And Liebrick is a professional. He's worked there for many decades and through both administrations. And this isn't something that they're just making the payments that Congress authorized and that the government obligated.
And Isaac, I'll tell you, the reason I wanted to talk to you tonight, even though this is a very busy night and a lot's going on, is because I'm really spooked by the quote from the former Treasury official who says, seems to be really raising the alarms that somebody with bad intentions who wanted to use this payment system for partisan reasons could do something very alarming, that's something that we should really worry about. And it would seem Mr. Liebrick resigning, given all the different presidents he served, would also seem to be raising that red flag even higher, that this is something dangerous. What do you think the stakes are in terms of the misuse of this system that you're describing?
Well, my understanding is that this dispute between him and the DOJ representative was that he wanted to know what they wanted to do with the system, not trying to be uncooperative, but how could he be helpful? And that led to them putting him on administrative leave, and rather than that, he decided to retire. But we are still working to figure out what exactly they have in mind with trying to get access to the payment system, and if they're going to succeed in doing so. But obviously, this comes in the backdrop of what Trump appointed Elon Musk and the DOJ to do, which is root around in the federal government to look for spending cuts. And obviously also the OMB memo from earlier this week, where the administration was temporarily and to some extent still just flat out refusing to spend money that Congress appropriated and authorized to be spent because they don't want to.
Yeah, it's one thing to fight over whether or not spending is allowed to go out. It's another thing to seize the checkbook on which, by which payments are effectively made. Isaac Arnstorff, senior White House reporter for The Washington Post. I can tell this is a story that we have not heard the end of. Thank you for helping us understand it tonight, and we look
Amen. We have not heard the end of that one. Yeah, because there's a lot of organizations that when they locked it up the other day, they couldn't get access to their funding for even approving Medicare, Medicaid payments, things like this and that. So, it's having a adverse effect, let's say. Elon's digging in and locking up all these accounts. So people, who knows what's going to happen? They could go after Social Security. They could go after Medicaid, Medicare, and it could all be gone quick. There's a lot of things that could be gone, as was talked about a few clips ago into the DOJ explanation. They could easily recover a couple of $1 trillion if they would just eliminate some of the tax loopholes for billionaires. But see what happens. As you know, we like to keep a little lighthearted on this show and try to put a bit of smile on your face. And, you know, if that takes, poking a little bit of fun of somebody, well, we're going to do it. And sometimes we poke fun at Lakewood Church down in Houston and Pastor Joel Osteen down there. Anyhow, it seems that as we here are obligated to provide some fake news, here's some more fake news about Lakewood Church down in Houston.
What you're seeing now is the latest nuclear missile test conducted just hours ago by Lakewood Church. The Houston-based megachurch confirming this morning they had successfully launched a long-range warhead that passed over Washington, D.C. before splashing down into the Atlantic Ocean. While Lakewood Supreme Pastor Joel Osteen has fired ballistic missiles off the Gulf Coast before, today marks the first time the ministry has ever tested nuclear weapons. In a statement, Osteen hailed the launch as a major victory for the evangelical movement, stating, quote, "Today's nuclear weapons test is a message to anyone who threatens the sovereignty of Lakewood Church. We will not be bullied by the U.S., who have proven time and time again to be the staunch enemy of the Lakewood people." The test was widely condemned as a violation of international law, with the United Nations today announcing new sanctions on the megachurch, but many experts say the launch should come as no surprise.
Osteen has been paranoid for years that the U.S. government is going to go after the church's tax-exempt status. And this is his way of saying, back off. I'm not afraid to hit the launch button. And based on the amount of enriched uranium that they've collected from parishioners every Sunday, this nuke is likely to be the first of many.
Prior to the launch, Osteen attended a staged inspection that was covered only by journalists from the church-run newsletter. It was the first time Joel Osteen had been seen in public since last year, when he was photographed with the visiting former NBA star Dennis Rodman. Coming up next, the inspiring story of a man who went from being homeless to impoverished.
In perilous times of great uncertainty, across every corner of a helpless world filled with terror and lies, the truth will be shouted by the only cable news channel you can trust. This is news without mercy. This is the Onion News Network.
Yeah, I hope that, that's some crazy stuff that crew puts out. That was kind of funny. Pastor Osteen. Anyhow, hey, let's get on to something that's not serious, but it's news, and I thought that you might find it interesting. And, every once in a while, the military will, I guess you would call it maybe decommission a military camp. It's no longer, where they need it. Could be strategic location, could be it needs too much repair or whatever the case may be. But anyhow, Fort McClellan is one of those particular bases that was decommissioned. You're never going to guess who bought it and for what reason.
For months, rumors have been swirling about Cat Williams building a production studio in Anniston.
Today, WVTM 13's Zoe Blair made the trip to get some answers.
On the other side of this fence is the old Fort McClellan property. In November, rumors started popping up that comedian Cat Williams had bought it. Today, Anniston Mayor Jack Draper confirmed that news to us, saying Williams plans to turn it into a production studio. Before Fort McClellan closed down in 1999, it was a major force in Anniston's economy. Mayor Draper says he hopes the new studio can have a similar economic impact. The mayor tells us Williams and his team are already in the process of moving in, and the city has been working with them.
This is a sector of the economy that I think could be transformational for this region. We as a city have met with Mr. Williams' team consistently over the last few months, as have city staff. But you're talking about jobs, you're talking about construction projects, not only for the city, county, but also the region. This is a perfect setting for a production company.
Now, there have been no official announcements from Cat Williams or his team about when they plan to start using this as a production studio, but as we learn more, we're going to keep you updated on air and online. In Anniston, Zoe Blair, WVTM 13.
Ooh, and I believe that's in Alabama, maybe. Anyhow, so, and that's kind of interesting because there are a lot of production companies that are leaving California. You look at what's been built up by Tyler Perry down in the Atlanta area. I know that the DFW has a lot of production studios. They have some in a lot of other locations as well. So California is losing a lot of those production studios just based upon how much it frickin' costs for them to make a movie or make a TV show, either one. It's a little bit whack, a little bit out of control, but hey, what you gonna do? Anyhow, hey, let's get to one of the moments that I enjoy in the show, and that's like, dude, really? What the fuck? And now, how many of you have ever thought that it would like be really, really kind of cool to be in a TV commercial, right? And so, you answer the casting call, and you're the character that they're looking for until the moment that they want you to start filming the commercial. Then you say, really? What the fuck? So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be hanging out the side of the car while it's rocking back and forth on two wheels waving, as part of the car advertisement. Hell of a stunt, fellas, hell of a stunt. I'll applaud you for that. I'm not going to be involved. Anyhow, let's move on to another part of the show that, everybody likes, and that is our Asshole of the Week award. And I don't know why we keep picking on California, but again, we're going to have to pick on California. And we're going to pick on California for pretty much a valid reason, because I guess this person thinks that because she has a home that has a oceanfront view, that she owns everything, maybe, I don't even know, halfway into the ocean. But check this out.
Tempers flared on Victoria Beach and Laguna Beach. An Instagram post from Rosy Cheeks IRL seemed to show an irate homeowner chasing her off the beach.
Whoa. Get out of here! Now!
The woman uses rope to create a border.
You're in my property. Get moving now!
A few days earlier in Malibu, Karim Abuslemi found this sign on Lechuza Beach.
This ain't private, bro. This is the sand. This is free land. Anybody can be here.
He, too, encountered an angry resident.
You just attacked me. You just attacked me by grabbing my phone.
You're taking pictures of me without my permission.
On public property, I could do that.
A week later, he returned. The sign was gone. He brought his own, staging a one-man demonstration to educate those already on the beach.
California Coastal Commission has confirmed that you can be here on all this beach right here as far as the tide goes up.
Those are indeed the rules by the Coastal Commission, created after years of litigation to force residents to allow public access, meaning beachgoers here have full access to Lechuza.
All public shores, as long as you're within the main high tide line and you're on wet sand, you could 100% be there, even if you're in front of private property.
Beachgoers we talked to had no idea of the controversy.
It's beautiful. It's quaint and it's gorgeous. There's not a lot going on and dog friendly.
I don't know, it's just a public beach. Why is there even an issue? Like, I don't know why he cares so much.
Yeah.
It's not harassment on the beach, it's harassment in my home property. Whoa.
In the incident in Laguna Beach, the woman seems to draw her rope border onto wet sand. The city of Laguna Beach released a statement to Fox 11 that reads the residents should report beach-related issues for mediation, and that two park rangers told them such behavior is unacceptable.
A well-deserved assholes. People are, they figure they spent X billion, X maybe not billion, X million dollars for that oceanfront view, and you shouldn't be on one grain of sand in front of that property. You'll run into that. But as the gentleman said, he is 100% correct. I know that is the California law, that you can, to where at high tide where the sand gets wet, that's public property. Beyond that, yeah, they can, take care of their own beach. And if you're intruding, above that high tide line, well, they may have, a argument. Otherwise, they're just being a jerk off. Not that ever happens. But in that regards, hey, that is the conclusion of tonight's show. I thank you so very much for tuning on in, and I hope that I put a little bit of a smile on your face this evening, give you something to at least pause and think about. But otherwise, until next week, folks, I'm out of here, and I'll leave you with this little AI clip of Elon Musk. Good night now.
No one is buying your stupid meme coins, bitch.
Don't touch that dial. Listen to... Crime does not pay.
This is the city, your city. There are 1 million stories in this city waiting to be told. 999,999 will have to wait as we tell you this one. Can this be Soul Man, a safecracker? I can't believe my eyes. This must be an imposter dressed as Soul Man. Well, we'll soon see as we join Soul Man, disguised here as mild-mannered TV producer Ed Tarbouche, about to read the morning paper. What's this? What does that paper say? Oh, wait till Ed Tarbouche reads this. He'll get to the bottom of this. Ed Tarbouche, knowing full well the imposter must be brought to justice, senses that the imposter is near. He uses his super X-ray vision and looks through the walls of the building to see the imposter at work. Seeing this criminal trying to tarnish the good name of Soul Man angers Ed Tarbouche. He finds a convenient phone booth and takes the pills that change him into the cleared crime fighter, Soul Man. Oh, the imposter is going to get his. Aha! Soul Man and the imposter meet face to face. Now Soul Man's got him, and here comes police detective Sobel to make the arrest. Soul Man explains that the crimes he had been blamed for were in fact committed by this imposter, and that he should remain the #1 crime fighter in the country. Detective Sobel is about to wrap up another case by arresting the imposter. But what's this? The imposter is telling Detective Sobel that he is the real Soul Man, and that Soul Man is the imposter who is committing all the crimes. Believing this, the police detective starts to arrest Soul Man. Soul Man tells him that he is the real Soul Man and the imposter is the imposter. But the imposter says Soul Man is the imposter and he is the real Soul Man. The police detective is stumped. What to do? What to do? Wait, an idea has come to the detective. He is proposing a test to determine the real Soul Man. Each man must jump out of the window and fly around the block. The one who cannot is the imposter. He asks the imposter to go first. The imposter, seeing what he must do, says, "No way," reveals his true identity and gives himself up. Well, what a brilliant piece of work by Detective Sobel, and what a fine job of crime fighting by Soul Man. Well, another case closed. Good job, Soul Man. Oh no, what's this? Soul Man seems intrigued by the test of flying around the block. Don't do it, Soul Man. Ah, well, maybe someday he'll learn to fly. It's a good thing the detective didn't make Soul Man fly first, or this case would be back where it started. No matter, justice has been served. Be with us once again next week, same time, same station, when we present Soul